everyone, my name is Dr. Smart. I am making this video to give you some tips on how you can survive residency. First, I want to talk about some essentials, which include work ethic, positive attitude, community, finding meaning or recentering, boundaries, and advocating for yourself and others. When it comes to work ethic, most of you wouldn't have made it this far if you didn't have a good work ethic. Being punctual helps get your team members in and out on time and helps the day run smoothly. And then good documentation is not only important for good communication, but also when it comes to billing and coding and how insurance covers the patient's stay. With positive attitude, I listed gratitude first because I think gratitude can definitely play a role into your mood and your outlook on life. Your energy transfers. When you come in with that negative energy, it really can dampen the mood of the whole team. Obviously, I'm not saying you have to be positive all the time. I know some things happen and life happens, but I do believe that you can step away or take some time, and it's not okay to transfer your negative energy onto others. Try to avoid negative self-talk because that can lead us into a spiral, and then you just go down this terrible black hole. Try to have some reminders of why you're doing this. You can have an object, a note to self, a screensaver banner, and surround yourself with people who are uplifting. For me, I used a note to self and screensaver banners. I love to write little notes to myself, but then also on my screensaver during my 4th year of med school when I was starting to feel a little burnt out and just over it, I wrote a note to myself that said, Danae Smart, MD, MS, coming May 2022. You're learning for your patients, so do your best and let God do the rest. And every time I opened my phone, I saw that screensaver message. Here are some pictures just to show how you can find meaning and balance. One picture was when I went to Dartmouth College for a Spanish immersion week, and then below that is a picture of my friends that came to visit. We went to the escape room, although we did not escape, we had a great time. And then the picture in the middle is when I was recognized in the local newspaper during residency for a nonprofit program, Healthcare Sparks. 2 of my close co-residents, Jake and Monty, and my fiance Nick, threw me a surprise birthday party, which was amazing because I'm a person that loves my birthday, but I think I was on our inpatient service, so I didn't think I'd be able to really celebrate, so it was really sweet. And then the bottom left picture is me, one of my seniors during intern year, Daniel, who was a psych resident, and then our attending Dr. House. A year after we worked on service together, we met up at this Guatemalan restaurant and had a great time. And it just goes to show that you will create relationships with people during your time on service. Boundaries, oh my goodness. We sacrifice so much, and you really need to know when to say no. Is this ask going to burn me out? Will it take a toll on me mentally or physically or set me up to fail? And obviously a lot of things in residency are going to take a toll on you, but when I say set you up to fail, I mean like no recovery. So just to give you one example of my experience, during my intern year, I had 6 weeks of OB, and then I think I had a 2-week elective or 2-week procedures block. And then I was going back onto our inpatient service for 2 weeks of nights, and then I was going back to OB for 2 additional weeks. So for 2 weeks of nights, you work 6 nights straight, have 1 day off, and you're still on that 12 to 13 hour shift schedule. And then for OB, you can work up to 14 hours because you have to round on patients in the morning. So I knew I was going to be coming off of 2 weeks of nights, and then the OB schedule was sent out, and they had me working like 1 day, then a night, then 2 days, then 2 nights. And ultimately, when I compared the schedule to the other interns, I noticed that I was working 5 night shifts, the EM resident was working 3, and my family medicine co-resident was working 3. So I advocated for myself because I preferred if they just put my 5 night shifts in a row, so I was working 3 weeks of night shifts straight. And got some pushback, but continued to advocate because it was a hill I was willing to die on, and they ended up accommodating my schedule. And I had reached out like at least 2 months in advance, so there was no reason that this could not be accommodated. So boundaries, have your boundary. Is there an inner voice screaming that this is wrong? Are your values going to be compromised, or do you feel uncomfortable? If you answer yes to any of these questions, then you don't have to do it at all, period, okay? The next essential is advocacy. It's important to advocate for yourself and for others. I like to send emails. One, because with emails, you keep a record, and then two, you can convey the message you want and you have time to reflect and make sure you're not being over emotional. Talking to your advisor or someone you trust. I was lucky to have an amazing advisor during residency, someone who looked like me and also who had shared experiences. So it was very nice to have someone that I could trust and go to whenever I needed her. UNC had a system called safe reporting that we could use. So if something happens in the hospital that you believe could cause harm to you, a patient, or even as some microaggressions that affect care, make sure that you figure out what your reporting system is. Usually most hospitals should have an anonymous system, and if they don't, then that's something that you should work on with your program director. Ask why when people come to you with foolishness. Just ask why, or ask them to repeat themselves. It took a while for me to learn this, but let them hear what they said to you, and maybe they'll come correct the second time. And then share your story. It's really important to share your story. And I say this because I feel like I came from a pretty safe environment in med school. So when I came to residency and people were being racist towards me, I'm just gonna be blunt, sometimes I was really shocked because what they were doing was affecting my patient's care because they could not fathom me being in the position I was in. I don't know if it's different in med school because, we don't really have as much autonomy as a med student. But when you're calling the shots, oh my goodness, y'all, people with bias or people who are racist or sexist, they will have a lot to say. So share your story so other people know how to handle things. I had to learn a lot during my intern year on how to navigate situations, which prepared me second and third year. I have stories that could have been the difference of life and death for my patients if I hadn't learned to advocate intern year. Share your story so other people know how they can navigate these situations. So some tips for you all. Go in early.